Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barrocks here, the digital storyteller. And I'm excited today because I'm going to be setting up my A7 Mark IV with my 24-105 lens. And I just want to walk you through sort of the things I do in order to set up my cameras and to make them work the best they possibly could. Now, again, these are just my main sort of focuses when I get a new camera, especially a Sony camera. These are the changes that I like to make that make it a lot easier for me to create the types of films and videos that I like to create. Again, you can tweak this to your liking and kind of move forward from there. All right, so let's jump right into it. I have turned on the A7 Mark IV. Now, when you turn it on, it automatically asks you what language you want. So obviously, you're going to pick English. I'm going to set up the date right now. I'm in Eastern Standard Time, so I'm going to stay with New York, and I'm going to stay with month, day, and year. So I'm just going to take off this lens cap here, and by default, you'll see that the program setting is on, or mode is on. I actually like going all the way to manual right away on my dial. So I'm just switching that right to manual. And now that we're in manual, I have full control over whatever settings I want to do. Remember, when you go to the other settings, it's, you know, aperture priority, or it's shutter priority, or it's picture priority, whatever else. And those will restrict the amount of flexibility that you actually have. It's really important to just jump in and get right into the manual aspects of any professional camera, because the quicker you can learn manual settings, the easier it'll be for you to kind of home in on exactly the look, the tone, and the feel of how you want to shoot and how you want to film or take pictures. So now that we're there, I'm just going to jump over. I'm going to press my menu button. Now my menu button's up at the top here. So I'm going to press the menu button here. And when I go to the menu button, I automatically have a few different options here. Now, one of the first things I'm going to do under this setting is I'm actually going to go to where it says image quality and settings. And I'm going to change the format to RAW. Now you can change it to RAW JPEG. Now remember, when you're shooting RAW and JPEG, that means it's going to be double load on your cards, but not only just double load on your cards in terms of storage, but also in terms of processing and write speed. So I just like RAW. RAW gives you the most amount of flexibility. I can always change it into JPEG later. Unless you're really not doing a lot of editing in post, then I would always suggest having RAW as an option. This also gives us the RAW file type. So right now it's compressed. Compressed is really still very good. There's lossless compression, so it's kind of like a medium format compression of RAW. I'm gonna press uncompressed just because, I mean, an uncompressed 33 megapixel image is what I want. If you went to JPEG and you picked JPEG only, then you have options like extra fine, fine, standard, or light. And then you also have the size, the megapixel size. So you can either have it at the full 33 megapixel, you can do it as more like a smaller JPEG, or you can do it even smaller than that. You can select, if you go under record media settings, you can select which slot does which thing. So generally speaking, because I shoot more video than photography, I usually have my first slot devoted to photo and video. So under record media, and it has the camera and it has slot one, it has slot one on recording photography, and that's good. But then now under recording media, when it comes to video, I go to slot not one, not two, but simultaneously. So that means that anytime I'm shooting video, it's going to record to both slot 1 and 2 simultaneously. And then if I'm shooting photography, which is not as much, I do shoot a lot of photography, but again, outside of weddings, I don't need redundancy that much. Then it's going to only record directly to slot 1. I would always just turn on auto switching. So just in case, you know, your slot 1 gets full, it'll jump to slot 2. File format for video, it's set to XAVC-S HD, which means it's HD video. When you click on it, it says, it gives you a little basic warning or update of what you're going to be doing, what you're changing. So you have a variety of different options. I personally like the S4K. That gives you a variety of different options. I can still shoot in 60 frames per second. Now, in order to change the frames per second, you have to go to movie settings. This gives us a little update of what exactly we're going to be changing. By default, all of these cameras are always set to 30 frames per second. I don't know why, I don't really care. So this is where you can change it though to 60 frames per second or 24 frames per second. I don't really like defaulting to the highest frames because I don't necessarily shoot slow-mo for everything. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to 24 frames per second. This is where it gets really interesting, folks, because now the record settings give you the option of the bit depth, right? The color depth. So by default, it's 8-bit, 60 megabits per second, or 8-bit, 100 megabits per second. I'm going to always stay on the 100 megabits per second at 10-bit or in 10-bit 422 space. That's going to give you way more color. It's going to give you way better image quality. Just overall, it's going to be easier to grade, etc., etc. Our APC crop Super 35 mode. Now it's set to auto. You can put it on or off. If I were you, I would just leave it on auto. The reason for that is because if you're using a lens that is already designed for Super 35, the camera will sense that, detect it, and then automatically crop in so that you won't see any vignetting on the wide part of the lens. So the next setting that I like to change right off the bat is the copy right info. And this is really important if you're taking photos. This actually burns in your information as a photographer into all of your files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my name here. Set my name in there, put in copyright. So now we set the copyright there, perfect. And then display information, it's just gonna show us the copyright information. I wanna set up my USB streaming settings. So I'm gonna go under that. I'm gonna go to the streaming resolution. Now by default, it's 1080p at 30 frames per second. You can do 1080p at 60, or you can do 4K at 15 frames, or 720p at 30 frames. 1080p at 30 frames per second is fine for me. And then I'm actually going to enable recording while I stream. So if I want to record directly internally to the camera, I can do so. Okay, I'm gonna jump to my autofocus area, and under autofocus modes, I'm going to go to where it says focus mode, automatic. I'm gonna do single shot. And the reason why I want single shot is because when I'm taking photos, I don't want it to constantly be focusing in and out. I know that I told you that I do a lot of video work, but with this particular camera, it's gonna be my secondary camera, and I want to be able to kind of shoot more stills with this and then jump to video when I need to, and I can always switch to continuous auto focus when I'm in video mode. But when I'm not, I usually like just a one-shot focus. Focus area. So by default, focus area is wide. I like to change it to center fixed. Center fixed is really good for a whole bunch of reasons. One of the major reasons for me is that as a photographer, when you shoot, you want to shoot and then recompose your image or your frame. So you kind of shoot or set focus and then you recompose your frame. It's a lot quicker. Now under face eye frame display, this just means if you turn it on, it'll show you what it's looking at, which I find to be helpful as well. Do like is focus peaking. So focus peaking is basically the colored lines that go around the focus points of your image. So when you have something in focus, there's a red or a green or orange or a yellow line or a blue line. So I'm turning that on. One last thing I like doing is going to the external output and then just making sure, confirming that all of the HDMI settings are the way they need to be. So if you go to HDMI resolution, it's set to auto instead of 4K or 1080p or 1080i. Now, depending on if you know the exact screen you're sending to, you may want to be this specific and you can jump right into it. So that's fine. This is one other thing I like turning off, which is the HDMI info display. It's cool for when you're doing tutorial things like this, but if you don't want all of the information shown on screen, you just want to record a clean feed, then I would really say that you want to switch that off. And that's it. Those are the sort of the key settings that I like looking at when I start setting up a new camera, any sort of new Sony camera. I love the new menu options. I'm coming from the A7 Mark III, so the menu is totally different. But I love the menus in this particular camera, and I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, you have any comments, please send them below in the comments section below, and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, and until the next time, we will talk. Stay creative and stay blessed. Peace.